Okay. Yeah. So I think we can start. So maybe we can start with the role of a stevedore. What is your understanding of their role like as a stevedore?
Depends on what you are wanting to know about the stewardor. There are different types of stewardoring.
Mm,
Um, whether it's the container terminal, whether it's a tanker terminal,
mm,
whether it's the bulk carrier terminal. So there are different types of what constitute to a stevedore. It can be the boat crew, it can be the mooring crew,
mm,
it can be the one who assists in any way.
mm-hmm,
So all these, I believe, are contractors to whichever entity that they are representing. For
mm,
example, terminals. Uh, I don't think they are contractors to the port authority, but they are contracted to the terminals. So
mm,
these stevedores work on shifts, and they are hired by the terminals itself.
mm-hmm.
I'm very sure about the container side and the tanker side, but the bulk carrier terminals in Singapore, I'm not so sure. But yeah, for the tanker and container, they are definitely hired by the terminal itself.
Mm, I see. We can work around on your knowledge on the types of the stevedore that you understand more.
Yeah, but you got to ask me something. I don't know what do you want out of this. You got to prompt me some questions. Then I can, based on whatever
Yeah.
I have,
So
I can tell you.
Sure. So based on your understanding of the type of stevedore that you understand,
Yeah,
uh, what do you think their role is like?
yeah. As I said, they are basically for mooring. They are basically to assist the vessel. They are
Mm,
basically to for the boat crew. Some of the terminals, you don't have direct vessel coming alongside, so they hire boat crew to come and pick up the lines and go and put them in dolphins, go and put them in single ball mooring. So it depends on where or what type of vessels they are. So they represent the whole rotation of being a stevedore. I guess from scheduling to um, uh, operations to different shifts. So that's how it goes.
okay. And who do you think they report to?
They report to their own. They report to their own person in charge. I to say that they have their own foreman, and their
Mm,
foreman would generally be reporting to a contractor, and that contractor will represent that company with whichever representation there is, terminals, the port, or so there is one liaison or the one who schedules everything. He may be the owner, he may not be the owner. He could be a person hired by the contractor also. So there is this, what do you call that, rotation of how it's being handled. So ideally, it's the terminal and then a contractor, and then the terminals will let the contractor know before they are being hired, like what is the scope of their work, and then they will be in charge of their own scheduling to make sure that the terminal or the terminal jobs or tasks are as what is required, meaning to say shifts, meaning to say when the vessel come inside, who's the one going to do the mooring, who's the one going to do the boat crew, who is the one going to assist, who's the one going to do the communication. So that all is being scheduled by somebody within the contractor team,
mm.
and
And
they
mm,
communicate via walkie-talkie on whichever channels that being designated.
okay. So as you mentioned, you are more familiar with the stevedores on the container side. Is that correct?
No, I'm more familiar with the tanker side,
The
but I've
tanker side.
yeah, but
Mm,
there is not much difference in the container terminal, the Tango terminal, Pasir Panjang terminal. It's similar. So yeah,
Oh, okay. So what would their daily routine be like on
they
the,
work
like you
they
said,
work
on the tanker side?
they work on shifts.
Mm,
Um, they I don't think they have a permanent night, permanent day. They work on shift rotation. If
mm,
I'm not mistaken, 12-hour shifts. But this is to be confirmed unless they change it post-COVID. I'm not
mm,
so sure.
yeah.
But they work on shift roles, and they usually have one person handling the communication, i.e. the foreman, and then probably they will have two or three uh, stevedores, and then there'll be somebody who is on standby. So this is ideally how it works. And sometimes they work on 12-hour shifts, sometimes they work on 24-hour shift. That really depends on the contractor. There is no uh, hard and fast. It can change. Like for tanker terminals, usually they work on a 12-hour shift. 12-hour shift.
Mm,
I believe container is also the same, but maybe it might have changed post-COVID because of the container industry being affected. But recently, I think it has picked up, but I'm not so sure the current shift. But ideally, it should be 12-hour shift.
mm, okay. And what sort of tasks do they cover? What sort of activities do they do
Uh,
uh,
what
during their
kind?
routine?
So basically, they assist in the vessel's berthing,
Mm,
uh, uh, moorings. Uh, they take care of the boats, the small mooring boats that go and assist the mooring crew. Uh, any issues with the ship, for example, if there's any emergency, propeller fouling, or something like that, where the mooring master or the terminal rep have to go to the ship and it's not accessible by land, they usually get a rope in to assist. So basically, they just assist um, uh, the terminal in any which way possible, provided it's on their shift. They could be roped in to assist the people who take sampling. They could be roped in to assist the locking of containers when the containers is mounted to the uh, to the what do you call it, the vehicle. So it could be anything and everything, because they are general workers uh,
mm,
in the stevedoring context.
I see. And what would be their main priorities?
It then again depends, if
Mm,
what their main priorities will be. That's why I said it's anything and everything. But generally, they assist the ship. They assist the terminals to make sure the vessel comes in safely, berths safely, and then if there's any general works that to be done, maybe adjusting of the mooring lines, uh,
mm,
sampling, they might assist the surveyors if required. They might assist. Uh, they might be called to do works in not different terminals, but different berths. So it depends on what their foreman uh, is scheduled them to do, uh, which is what the terminal actually wants them to do. So ideally, it's basically mooring, um, meaning to say ashore or uh, on the mooring boat, shifting of the vessel, sampling, or any other general work that is being requested from the supervisor or the foreman.
mm. And what sort of improvement would they be looking for to simplify their workflow?
But that you got to ask the I
Mm,
have not I have no idea what improvements, because I've never been a stevedore. I'm not so
mm.
sure. This
Okay,
is
no
something
worries.
this is something that you got to ask the foreman or the terminal.
Mm. And what would be their common challenges?
I think common
You think?
challenges generally will be safety awareness, communication, maybe proper PPE.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, with the COVID now, probably permit work system, because a lot of them I don't think are Singaporeans.
Mm. And based on your understanding, if there's any challenges that arrive, how do they usually overcome them?
They will feedback this to the terminal and get guidance from the terminal. Every job has its challenges, what they will refer to their person or their line manager directly itself. And that's how they deal with it.
I see. And what do you think is their safety point of view?
What do I think is their safety point of view? I don't
Mm.
understand.
As in,
You
how do they perceive safety in regards to their role itself? What is
you mean to say what is their level of safety awareness?
mm, yeah, includes that? Or what do you think that they feel that, could improve their safety
As I said,
when they are conducting their work?
as I said, I'm not, I've never been one, but from what I generally
Mm,
see, it would be their personal protective equipment, their awareness, whether to uh, whether to do the task or not. Maybe they are not aware of risk assessment, they are not aware of toolbox stop, they are not aware that there are certain right and wrong way of doing it. Maybe training when they
mm,
come into their new role. These are various challenges that's everywhere, I guess. But that is dependent on the contractor, or whether it's a well-known contractor that they are selecting, or they are going for different type of contractors. That would depend on the selection process, I guess.
and how would they manage a safety issue if it arises based on your
Oh,
understanding?
they would have a near me system. They would have a feedback
Oh,
system,
I
like
see.
every month or
Mm,
every quarterly. There is they will the contractors within themselves, the team will have feedback to the foreman, and the foreman will feedback to the terminal rep or the
mm,
loading master, whoever that is in charge, and they have a exchange. It's documented, it's recorded.
mm,
So that's how the exchange flow goes. And if
I see.
there's anything to be uh, rectified or anything to be addressed, then it will be addressed depending on the urgency.
Mm. And any idea what kind of tools they are currently using?
No, I do not have
Mm,
an idea
okay.
for what program they use. No, that is they won't share also. This unless you
Mm,
are a contractor yourself, you wouldn't know.
I see. Um, do you think they'll be they are tech savvy?
I'm sure they are. They are all using their mobile, so
Okay.
all
Mm,
have smartphones. So I would think they are all tech savvy, but uh, in terms of qualification, I think they have just basic qualification. But in terms of tech savviness, I think all have. All
mm,
should be.
mm, I
Uh,
see. Have you came across any like stevedores who is currently using Redshift?
no,
Mm.
as I
And
said, they have their
mm,
own in-house program. Usually, the
ah,
terminal provide the in-house program.
oh,
Uh, Terminal have their procedures, do's and don'ts. So they
oh.
usually comply with whatever that's being asked.
And for the non-users, what do you think will entice them to come on board on Redshift?
For non-users, I don't understand. That means
As in,
how are they attracted to come on board? Is it?
yeah, yeah, exactly. So what will attract them to use like Redshift digital products?
Uh, I I wouldn't think contractors will use, because they are own self uh, under a certain budget. But if you if you say the people who might consider using the terminal, but then again, it has to be a friendly and a friendly way of using the platform to their exact needs. But I don't think contractors will actually want to use our platform. But if you ask me, I think terminal, you still have a chance of convincing them,
I
provided
see.
the what do you call that, the it is user friendly
Mm.
to cater for to their needs.
And would the terminal be the like the paymaster that is supporting all this adoption of digital tools?
That's a very big question to answer. I think
uh,
everyone has their own budget, but I guess there's somebody who's sitting on top to control. Like for example, like different terminals. For example, I take one example,
yeah.
maybe Shell Bukom. Bukom is a terminal that is solely owned by Shell. So
Oh, okay.
anything that wants to be implemented, anything that wants to be done has to propose, has to be trial tested, and then I think the final say is still Shell. So like different terminals, for example, oil tanking, Universal, they have their own different hierarchy to get the approval from. I don't think it's just the terminals itself that can say a yes or a no.
And what sort of feature do you think they would need?
What sort of feature that I think they
Mm,
will need? Interesting. I don't know. Thinking out aloud would
mm,
be their uh, maybe their reporting system,
okay. Yeah.
whether
Mm-mm. Anything else?
their reporting, tool, they can record their toolbox stock, they can record their risk assessment,
Mm,
they can record their uh, reports, they can record their incidences,
mm,
they can capture uh, their improvement process, they can capture their suggestions.
okay.
So it really depends on how, whether they want to adapt or don't want to adapt, or want to embrace or don't want to embrace the change. So this one is really dependent.
Yeah, that would needs more research with the user themselves.
End user, correct?
Yeah. Okay, that's very good. We can move on to the next one. So, the role of a marine pilot.
Okay.
So, yeah, so what would be your understanding of like the role of a marine pilot?
Okay, marine pilot, basically previously they were a private entity. Now they come under MPA. So piloting
Mm,
schedule, uh, pilots shift schedule are all under MPA. So they work
mm,
on, if I'm not mistaken, a 8-hour shift, and they have a minimum number of movements they have to clock a day. They
see.
work on, I think, a rotation, a shift rotation, whereby it's one uh, one night, 2 day, 1 night, 2 afternoon, and 1 day or something like that. And then
Mm,
they have 2 days rest, and then they go on a different rotation. So they work on a shift system, and they cover the whole uh, the whole facet of pilotage, meaning to say as long as within Singapore waters,
mm,
from the outside coming in, as long as there is a need for the pilots to board the vessel and bring them to the terminal or anchorage within the port limits, so they
yeah.
will be used. They have different classes of pilot, from
Oh, okay.
class C to class A1, and they are foreigners, they are locals. So I think the foreigners are on employment pass. Singaporeans are as they are.
I see.
Um, different different pilot classes can bring in different deadweight of vessels,
Mm,
different movement, different areas. I.e. to say the eastern side, the straits, the western side, all the tanker terminals, all the anchorages. So it really depends on what the size of ship is and what is the intent of the uh, pilot and where they're supposed to bring the vessel to.
I see, I see. Okay. That's very good information. And who do they report to?
Who do they report to? I guess
Mm,
within the
any
pilot
idea?
body there is the the person doing the schedule. So they have a schedule like an Excel sheet or something like that. I'm not so sure, whereby they know from different days what are their shifts. So and they obviously have people who are on standby. And then there's also another area within the pilots whereby they are only solely involved in training. So they train the pilots, right?
Oh,
So they make sure the pilots don't have any incident. If there is, they would investigate the upgrading of the pilots when they are supposed to upgrade their licenses.
mm,
So
yeah,
all these are being handled by, I guess, the training department or something like that, and the scheduling is done by a particular department within NPA.
I see. And what is their daily routine like?
They bring the ship
As in
into the
bring the
anchorage
ship
and
in.
terminal. That's all,
Okay.
nothing else.
Okay, nothing else. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, and what would be their main priorities?
To bring the ship in safely without any accident. A
Okay.
quick turnaround so that they can hop onto
Okay,
another
quick
ship.
turnaround. Right, right, right. So it's safety and efficiency. Can I say that?
Safety and efficiency. Maybe safety awareness definitely.
Mm,
Uh, Safety awareness definitely. Uh, then there is also efficiency. Very broad word. Um,
oh,
I would say I would say I would say turn around more because they
okay,
are
turn around.
a quick turnaround would quick and safe
Mm,
turnaround I think would be more
it's
ideal
more
because
appropriate.
yeah, because
Okay.
you go on board, if there's any delay you cannot go to the other ship, the
Oh,
other awaiting jobs if they are, because they will only
mm,
know what are the vessels when they finish their first job. So they are scheduled for one job. Let's say I start my shift at 8 o'clock in the morning. I
yeah.
go on board one vessel. I finish, then I go on the pilot boat. Then I'll be scheduled for another one. If not,
Oh,
then I won't know. You see, and it depends on which area I bought from. If I'm from the west, there are a couple of pilot boats that handle the pilots for that day on the west,
mm,
central, and then east. So it depends on where you actually bought from. It does not make sense if you bought from the east, then after that you bring the vessel to the west, and then you bring her alongside, and then you have to make your way back to the east again. It does not make sense.
yeah,
So
yeah, that's true.
they will have their own scheduling, and it's a big job, not an easy task.
Mm, and okay. And what sort of improvement they'll be looking out for?
Improvement, I don't
Mm,
know, quality of their own pilots, their training, their
mm,
reporting, their incident trends, their uh, profiling, I guess.
mm,
So,
okay.
so
And what
this
would be their common challenges?
common challenges, as I said, will be scheduling. With COVID and all now, you
Mm,
have to have different standbys, different areas, and there's no guarantee that if one pilot is down, the one on standby is also not down,
yeah.
right? So that would be, I guess placement of pilots is the main challenge. Although they have improved their system, they have given uh, 15 minutes or 20 minutes interval in between each vessel that picks up a pilot within the
Mm,
Singapore Straits itself. But I guess confirming the pilot is an issue. And then unforeseen delays. Unforeseen delays, there's nothing that you can do. You can be delayed because of you can have a pilot book, but your operations are not over, so the pilot has to wait on board, and there's only so much that the pilot can wait before he says, okay, bye bye, I'm going off because you are not ready yet. So that there are always unforeseen challenges, and there are also challenges that very, very difficult to manage, which I don't think uh, we can come up with a solution, because it's more about personal inputs in their challenges. But the if you ask on what can they use, they can use our platform for, as I said, reporting, incident, trending, uh, that that can be of benefit to them. But I think this is something they already have, or in the process of having. I'm not so sure.
Okay. And their way of overcoming these challenges. Um,
Overcoming these challenges,
yeah.
only they know, because I can't speak for them.
Mm.
I, I, I
Okay.
yeah, this is something you have to interview them and see what they. I can give you a brief, but then to the specifics, I don't think I have that in me
Okay.
to brief you on this.
Yeah, sure, sure. And as a marine pilot,
Yeah.
what do you think is their safety point of view?
Ah,
How
their
do
safe
they perceive safety and
their safety awareness
what?
is very high. They
Mm,
rely a lot on local knowledge, which is something that they are trained. A lot of hours go into training, simulator work. They rely very heavily on visual. They rely very heavily on equipment, meaning to say their sort of a portable computer where they come in and they fix into the ship's AIS, and then they get the ship's position, and that position is used to navigate wherever the endpoint is. So they rely very heavily on this, and also communication, um, because different pilots are in different waters in Singapore, and they communicate with the VTS, vessel traffic system,
mm,
whoever that is managing that, to make sure that nothing happens, i.e. To say that vessels are navigated safely. They communicate in between pilots uh, navigating on different ships. They also have their own decorum. They cannot have any distractions. They cannot have any uh, distractions on their mind. They cannot have. They also have to monitor a lot of things, and the pilot forms a part of the bridge team. So the pilot also rely heavily on the feedback of the vessel's bridge team, which is master or the duty officers. So, but their level of awareness has to be very high every time they board the vessel. They cannot be slipshod in their decision, and it has to be a decision that is concise. It cannot be a maybe. It's either a yes or no. If
yeah,
not,
okay.
if not, incidents or accidents happen.
Yeah. And how do they manage a safety issue?
They have their training department. They have their reporting. They have their reporting protocols, whereby if
Mm,
there's a near miss, if there's an issue on the ship, they will feedback to their office. Or if there is an
mm,
issue or the accident already happened, so what are the protocols? Uh, so they have their own reporting guidelines, but what platform they use, this I'm not so sure that
mm.
MPA has the control over this.
Okay. So, what sort of tools are they using? Do we have any idea on that?
As I said, they use the AIS system. They tap their computer into the AIS system, and they have a chart, uh, uh, a port limit chart that they have, and it gives you the vessel's location, and that is used as a secondary means of ensuring that the vessel is within the the, uh, the safe waters, the endpoint, from the pilot boarding ground or from the anchorage to the endpoint, whichever terminals, whichever anchorages it's supposed to go to. So they use that facility and they use their own walkie-talkie. They carry their own walkie-talkie for communication, VHF. So in that sense, that's those. As what I know, those are the tools that they use.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. You have given me some new pointers that wasn't captured in the earlier session. So this is very useful.
Okay.
So can I say that they are tech savvy as well?
Oh yeah, definitely. Pilots are
Mm,
very tech savvy. Some
mm,
of them don't use the computers; they use their smartphone. So um, they are generally mariners, whether they know or they don't know, but they are tech savvy. They can operate and they can get around. They will find a way around because those are the trainings that they undergo. Crisis management. They undergo um, how to handle pressure, how to handle distraction. So these
mm.
are all part and parcel of their training. So they are all reasonably tech savvy. But I cannot speak for those like the older generation. There are always dinosaurs around, 60 years old,
Yeah.
65 years old. So I'm not so
Uh,
sure about them. But generally speaking, the middle-aged pilots and the younger ones are very tech savvy.
mm. And, and have you came across any pilots that is currently using Redship?
Currently using Rightship, no,
Mm,
definitely not. They have their own program, I guess, their own software.
mm. And for this group of user, um, what will entice them to get on board with Redship?
Something that is cheap,
Mm,
something that is user friendly,
mm.
that serves their purpose.
Yeah.
So as long as it's cheap, it's user friendly to serve their purpose, I think people might consider, provided
Mm.
there is a successful trial being done. Like
And,
previously, MPA also tried the SMS system for bunkering. They tried the SMS system for pilot booking. So these are trials that have been done, and the SMS system is being used for the bunker budgets. So they are being trial. I mean, if they are, trials would be the way to pose and see whether they want to embrace Brightsheet platform into their system. So
and who will be the paymaster for this kind of digital adoption?
I guess MPA, because the pilots are just an umbrella under the whole bigger picture, which is the Maritime Port Authority also.
And is there any other features that you think they would need?
Um, I think the pilot system is a matured system
Mm,
that they have already. But what um, they might have their own um, information system already available within their their own system. Like, okay, for this area, what are the dangers? What are the the ports, the specific ports and terminal? They already have this, but whether they can access it uh, immediately or not, maybe that's something to, like I'm sure they have I'm sure they have a search function also. Whether that search function works out at sea or not because of internet connection,
yeah.
because of, so that also depends. You don't have internet connection out at sea, also what can you do? You can't do anything,
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if there is a better means of communication, if there's a better signaling system, that people are ordering food, grab food, and sending to within port
The
limit.
ship.
Yeah, within port limits, right?
Mm,
So, but you can't do anything without without internet.
connection.
Yeah, without connection.
Yeah.
Maybe their launch system, maybe their launch booking within the port might be something that they want to have it all within a system itself, a common system where everybody can
Mm,
see.
yeah.
Maybe that's something to be explored. I don't know, but this is just thinking out aloud. Everything is
Yeah.
based on signal strength and internet. If you don't have, very difficult to work.
Yeah. True. Fine. Okay. Let's move to the role of a birth planner. Um, what do you think is their role like as a birth planner?
Uh, you see, birth planner, maybe that's the term used for containerized terminal. In the tanker, uh, in the tanker terminals, they are called loading masters. So ideally, more or less the same. They make sure the vessel comes alongside, or they hire somebody to go on site to make sure that the vessel uh, come alongside safely. Meaning to say, they communicate with the person at the berth itself, communicates with the pilot to see whether the vessel is in line, whether the vessel needs to go a couple of meters forward, couple of meters aft to get all the required moorings uh, in the required dolphins or so these are their primary roles. Then they have the scheduling of vessels that come in, the turnaround, they monitor the turnaround. If there's anything untoward that happened, they go on board. Some of them go on board and do uh, ship rounds before they take over their shift, just to familiarize or see if there's any issues. They make sure communication is done regularly. So these are some of the things that the birth planner uh, do. But I guess birth planner, generally the name is for containerized terminals as opposed to tanker or bucket.
I see. And who does the birth planner report to?
There's always a shift or a line manager that he
Mm,
reports to, and they also work on shift. Some of them are on permanent day, some of them are on permanent, but generally they work on shifts.
mm,
So uh, they have their own team within for loading masters for birth, and they have their own team. So they work with their team. So birth planners are also uh, part of the team where moorings are done, uh, how many how many there how many what do you call that, stevedores they are required. They are all in the same loop, having the same communication channel in case there's anything that happen. Things can be escalated if required. But generally, these term birth planners and all, they are not field people. They usually don't go on the ground on site as often as the stevedores. So yeah,
And what do they cover during their shift? As in, what is their routine like?
yeah, uh, they monitor the vessel. If there's anything that happens, they monitor ship shore communication. They monitor uh, whether any other vessels are coming alongside, i.e. to say whether there's any bunkering, whether there is stores, whether cranes are being used. They ideally would be the one to go to in case missions are required, if there can be shore leave, or there can be things like that. So they are like the first line of defense after the vessel berths.
Mm,
And these berth planners usually, if for containerized terminals, they usually plan uh, they work very closely with the planners for uh, which container goes into which holes, which slots, So
mm.
in case there's any delays, they they are the ones to actually communicate to.
And what sort of improvement will they be looking out for?
Us. It's basically efficiency, turnaround,
Mm,
and make sure everything stays safe, I guess. So there is a whole loop. They need one another to perform their job, to perform their duties. So as long as everything is smooth, which usually is not, then things will go well, If not, then they have to go and source for replacements and all that. And they are usually in charge of different shifts. So.
And what sort of common challenges will they face?
Oh, this one I seriously don't know.
Okay,
But
no worries.
generally, I guess it's the same thing. They want to make sure everything is done safely, correctly, make sure turnaround, quick turnaround.
Mm. And what would be their safety point of view as a birth planner?
Mm, I would say these people are where they are because they are not there as a work starting point. They would have rise in the ranks. So I need to say that they are not new. They could be ex-seafarers, they could be land lovers also, but naturally nobody would put them in that position if they got no experience because they have to be able to think of possible worst case scenarios, uh, what to do in case of things that don't go correctly or not as per plan. So they are not somebody like, okay, I can substitute a birth planner with a stevedore or a stevedore with a birth planner. It's not like that.
Yeah.
I guess they are somebody with considerable working experience in their own area or in the area below where they understand the whole the whole operation system.
And how would they manage a safety issue?
Same thing, they have a reporting system, they have a reporting guideline, they have, I believe they have a platform of their own also. Different terminals, different ports have their own, I mean, different ports, different terminals, different berths also have their own uh, system. But I guess for each common terminal, they will have their own intra link, internet link. They can see and they can recall past vessels or past reports that past vessel submits or have other people have submitted regarding this vessel if there are any feedbacks. So that's something which is available with their own system. But what system they use, I do not know.
And but who will they report the safety issue to?
Yeah, I guess every organization within the maritime field have a safety and training department. They will have somebody in charge of HSEQ. They will have somebody in charge of safety. And I guess these people take the lead and they will be the one auditing. They will be the one asking the questions. So might be somebody who's a person that is senior, a senior, a person who is not management, but a person who's also not operation. It's in between the two who understands the whole uh, system, the process.
I see. Any idea what sort of tools they are currently using?
No, I don't. This one
Okay.
I don't know.
And do you think they will be tech savvy?
Yes, definitely.
Mm. Um, are they currently using any Rightship products? Have you came across any birth
Not that I
planner
know.
that's using Rightship?
Not that I know.
What do you think will entice them to come on board then?
I don't think they are the decision makers. Go to the ones above them in charge of the terminals,
Mm.
the terminal manager, one in
And
charge of safety training.
I see. And who do you think will be the paymaster for any digital adoption?
Terminals, depend whether it's an independent terminal or whether it's an
Mm.
MPA port, MPA terminal or both. So it depends.
Mm.
Most tanker terminals are independent. They are not uh, owned by government, but the ones that are The container ones are also not government owned, they are private owned, but semi-government. So it really depends. I don't know the hierarchy.
Mm, okay. And what sort of feature do you think they will need?
As I said, they have their own system, they have their own
Mm,
platform. But how you all plan to integrate this is something that you need to talk to them and see what is required, because they it is not a static system that they run, it's a dynamic
mm,
system. They are always thinking of improvements, they are always thinking of collaborations, they are always thinking of how to, like any other organization. So maybe the is appropriate to talk to the correct person. I might give you some wrong information which I don't want to.
yeah, sure. Okay, good. Right. Let's move on to the last three roles. Um, so as a terminal manager, what would be their role like?
Handle the whole aspect of the terminal uh, from operation to logistics to
Mm,
maintenance to procurement. They will have a say in everything. I guess that's usually the scope. So that's a big responsibility, and they have different reporting guidelines to report to, and they have different scopes as well within their one terminal might have one terminal manager, couple of assistants or senior supervisors, or it depends on how they put it. But it's a senior role. It's not something that is you can take one from fresh university and put in there. It's
yeah, yeah.
usually not the case.
Mm. And who do you think they will be reporting to? Do they
I think they report I think they have direct report as per their hierarchy. Yeah, they have because terminal manager have all these shift managers under him, and he reports to probably uh yeah, seriously, this one depends.
mm,
There is usually a direct report, but whether that person is of a managerial role, a director role, it
mm,
really depends on the hierarchy
mm,
and how flat the organization is.
see. And what sort of daily routine would they have?
They usually the case, they work on office hours. But then again, depends, they will come in for different specific reason if required. Um, they handle different different issues. Anything unique in the operation, they will come in. Any improvements within the terminal, they come in. Any uh, maintenance or incident that happened within the terminal, they come in. Uh, any training, holistic training, they usually come in. Budgeting, I'm sure they have a line of how much they can approve.
Mm.
So it's a big job scope.
And what sort of main priorities would they have?
Same like the others, make sure everything goes well, smooth,
Mm,
turnaround of the ships without problems, without complaints,
mhm.
without adverse feedback. I guess which usually is not the case. It's usually always a problem, always an issue. So,
Okay.
and
And
I guess
yeah.
they have their own system to work with, uh, like um, like MPA owns a lot of ports and terminals all over the world. Whether they are using one common platform for everything where everybody can see, every terminal manager can see and share, or whether they're using different system under different security systems. So it really depends. Right? Some small terminals have their own system where they use, some have a global system. So it really depends.
Yeah. And what sort of improvement would they be looking out for?
Terminal manager,
Mm,
I think it's the same. Reporting.
Mm.
Uh, Maybe a platform whereby they can have instant access to certain information.
Mm.
Size of vessel, class of vessel, draft of vessel. Sure, there is terminal questionnaire and everything, but a platform whereby this can be easily seen and not searched for, other than using a search function. Vessel that comes in A to Z of the vessel, if they want to use incident history, uh, any adverse feedback on the vessel, reporting, uh, profiling of the key personnel on board, okay. Master, chief engineer.
Yeah.
Any
And
issues, any issues with third party influence, for example, stores, bunkering, uh, anything like that. Maybe it's something they want.
I see. And as a terminal manager, what sort of common challenges would they be facing?
Yeah, that's what I said. All these are.
Yes. How do they overcome them?
How do they overcome them? Different scenarios, I guess, have different situations. very, very difficult to to come up with a scenario where I really don't know what it is. Let's say, for example, if there's a
Yeah.
delay, right, they will have
Yeah.
direct contact with, they would have a list of numbers to call, or
Mm.
if there is an incident,
Yeah.
they will have a list of contact person from MP to the ambulance to the Coast Guard. They will have their own protocols. They would have done their own drills. They would have done their own what do you call that, research on what can happen and what can go wrong.
Mm.
So as long as anything falls within this, they have something to document. If not, then
Yeah.
that's a means of improving, right?
Yeah.
It
Sure.
is something that they never thought about, right?
Yeah.
Or something like, what can happen if there's a gas leak in one of the terminal, but I'm not the terminal that has a gas leak. So externally, what are the factors that can affect my terminal? So I'm sure they would have their own drills, they would have their own protocols, they would have done tabletop exercises with MP, with different government bodies. So it really depends what are the scenarios they've thought of.
And what would be their safety point of view as
Oh,
the
they will be
terminal
very high.
manager?
They will be
Very
very high,
high.
very high, because they are like the judge, right?
Mm.
So if the policemen don't do the work, they will, they will go on top of the policemen and make sure that they actually do their work. And they are usually no nonsense kind of people, and they are usually people who knows the processes and procedures, should know the processes and procedures well, because everybody else will come to them for advice.
Mm.
So generally, they should have some kind of a sound knowledge on their own system, their procedures, their processes, their policies.
Mm. And how do they manage a safety issue? Would it be like you said, they have already have a set of protocol?
Yeah, they would have a set of guidelines, they would have a set of instructions. If
Mm.
something deviates from this, then there would be some kind of a reporting, there will be communication, there would be coaching, there will be training, there will be investigation, there will be corrective action taken, then long-term preventive action. There will be a
Mm.
documentation process. If there's any tools required for them to improve, then they will try to get whatever within their means. So it's it's this hazard to work system and all that. It's everywhere. It's not just the marine industry, right? So it's everywhere now.
Yeah. And but who do would they be reporting those safety issue to?
If bigger ports and terminals, they have like a global person who takes care, and they have regular interaction. But smaller terminals, maybe they are the ones that have to decide. It all depends on the which port and which terminal. Like uh if I say the one in Singapore, like Singapore also has terminals in Dubai, in Middle East. So maybe they have a whole system whereby there's a global person in charge of all the terminal managers. Or you could have like an oil tanking one terminal in Singapore. They
Yeah.
will they will be in charge. Probably they are the only one. They do everything, They one man show. They run a one man show. So it really depends, and they report to a director or uh, independent party.
What sorts of tools are they using?
They will have
Any
their own.
idea?
No. What's the, what's the name of the tool? What's the system they use? I don't know whether they're using just an Excel sheet to monitor or whether they're using actual program, app. That
Mm.
that even if those who sail also won't know, because this is something, if you're not in the organization, nobody will actually want to share this information with you.
Do you think they are tech savvy?
Yeah, very tech savvy.
Have you came across any terminal
Oh,
manager using RightShip?
I think there are a couple of terminals that use the RightShip platform for there are a couple of terminals that use the RightShip platform, if I'm not mistaken, but I'm not so sure which ones. I think the dry bulk ones, terminals, charterers they use, yeah.
If they are non-user, what do you think will entice them to come on board with RightShip?
Yeah, it depends on what you actually put forward for their specific needs. Information, readily available information. But terminals and ports, they are usually not willing to share data, right? Because if data are being shared, then you'll be out in the open, everybody can see.
Mm.
So they are usually reluctant. But it really depends on who is the one managing, how inclusive is the person. If he's willing to share and learn and get information from other people to improve, then I guess that's possible. But usually they are not that forthcoming because they want to keep everything under close watch. They don't want any
Mm.
information to leak out, right? So, or they don't want any vessel information within their own that happens in their own terminal to leak out, whereby others can see. So, uh, convincing to do.
Mm. And who would be like the paymaster for any digital adoption?
Some terminal manager can agree to it because he has a budget. Some they have somebody above them to get approval from. So very hard to say.
Mm. Any other feature do you think they will need?
Ports and terminals, terminal managers.
Mm.
Any other feature? Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Okay, let's move on to the last two, which is the harbor master. What would be your understanding of their role?
Harbor master.
Mm.
They are in Singapore context, huh?
Can anything that you have
Singapore
better understanding?
in Singapore context, they are MPA people who have been in the Maritime Port Authority of Singapore, ex-pilots,
Mm.
ex-pilots or ex-marine directors. They rise to the obviously they rise through their ranks. Blue eye boy, blue eye lady. The current port master or harbor same harbor master, port master, harbor master. Are you talking about harbor master or port master?
Harbor
Harbor master
harbor
that means
master.
harbor master that means within Singapore,
Um,
only in the realms of the Singapore port.
it may not be so, but But let's say Singapore.
Yeah, so harbor master within the realms of Singapore. If in Singapore context,
Mm.
they call it the port master.
Okay,
Because
they don't call them
yeah,
as
yeah,
harbor master, but
yeah,
port master.
yeah.
Oh,
So
then
they are
what is their role like?
they go what are their roles are very interesting. Their roles are
Mm.
follow all those director here and there, you know, to show them
Uh,
this improvement, that improvement, this improvement, I guess.
okay.
I don't want to talk
Uh-huh.
so much. This one being recorded. After that, I can be sued.
Oh, okay. Okay, no worries. Just
Uh,
like generic understanding, because this is just for our internal research. It will not be shared with anyone else except you, me, and my product team, which
yeah,
is comprises of like the product manager and maybe other UX designers.
Sebastian, I've talked to him before, so he knows.
Okay. Yeah.
So, port master, one of their duties is to come up with circulars, improvements,
Mm.
keep abreast of rules, requirements, and how the port can be improved.
Yeah.
So that would be their primary roles. Of course, underneath the port master, or they will have an assistant port master. He's like the 2IC who does the ground running
Mm.
and reports to the port master.
Mm.
He's basically the face of 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 the port. I mean, anybody that comes that wants anything, very difficult to get, very busy person, always packed with the schedule is always packed, difficult
Mm.
to schedule a meetup. Gifts like gift stocks represents the port that he works for. Like in Singapore, represents in different forums.
Mm.
Uh, he should have local port knowledge. That's why being a pilot, I mean, a lot of them are ex-pilots, or the last one was an ex-pilot,
Mm.
or somebody in charge of the VTS, vessel traffic
Mm.
system. So he would be somebody who's well versed with the operations and technology within the port itself.
I see. And who do they report to?
I think they have a director of shipping that they report to. Don't really know the hierarchy of MPA. MPA, if you throw one stone, there's a lot of managers, there are a lot of masters, there are a lot of so I really don't know their hierarchical system. Directors, assistant directors, vessels manager, vessel traffic manager. So I don't know really who does what, because there's
Mm.
a lot of managerial roles which I don't know.
And what would be their daily routine like as like uh
Yes,
a
yes.
master itself?
Master is for the ship. So port master is
Yeah, port
basically
master.
port master is basically handling the issues of the port. Uh, uh, because you have the port division, you have the shipping division. So he's probably in charge of uh, the whole hierarchy. So he's the like the uh, president of the port kind of thing. Anybody that wants any interactions, any improvements, any complaints on the high level,
Mm.
maybe IMO, MEPC, uh, a lot of it would be addressed to the port master or harbor master. So high level position, which is very difficult to get a schedule with. But at the same time, he is the person who generally, like I said, gives talks, represents. If there's any, uh, what do you call, foreign delegates that come to Singapore, they will ideally meet, or he will probably be asked to give a briefing or a presentation of the port.
I see.
So high level.
High level. So what would be their main priorities?
To make sure no disruption, no blockages in the port, no disruptions, no incidences that can cause big reputational damage within the port,
Mm,
no pollution, meaning to say they don't have to uh, mobilize um, things that require a lot of resources, a lot of money, a lot of time. Um, I guess to make sure the port runs safely 24 hours, 365 days a year.
mm. And what sort of improvement would they be looking out for?
My
And
interaction
and
with
mm,
the port authorities my last organization, we had a drill. We had a
mm,
tabletop drill, and they were like 80 governmental participants,
mm,
and logistics was one of the issues. Uh, common common reporting, common brainstorming of scenarios.
mm.
So maybe this might be something, an improvement that they or can something that they might want to think of,
Mm.
because there's so many scenarios. You
Yeah,
have
correct.
you have like 500,000 people in Jurong Island at any one point in time. If you have to have a mass evacuation, let's say
Mm.
for example, how are you going to mobilize resource? Have you had that kind of a drill that can make sure everything is safe? Or if there's uh, a threat to Singapore waters, although there's always the security division that will come in, but eventually the person in the forefront would be the port master or the minister. So
Mm.
how are these being handled? I think this is something that maybe they want, but I don't think this can be done in our platform. I never know.
Any common challenges that they will face?
Like this exactly what I said.
Mm.
Making sure that the port runs smoothly, scheduling are done as per plan. There's no blockages of any waterways.
Um, how do they overcome challenges? Like I know there are different, probably like different types. So,
Yeah, they have different. The port master will will follow his hierarchy. He will have a meeting with whichever the entity is, whether it's the pilot, whether it's the terminals, whether it's the um, uh, uh, depending on what it is. Sort of, he's not going to do it on his own. It's the he's behind basically the brains, or he and his team is behind the brains of how to solve an issue. Basically,
and what would be their safety point of view?
oh, very high.
Mm,
First thing they think is safety. First thing they think is risk assessment. First thing they think is permit to work. First thing they think about is how can I do it safely? How can I do it with minimal risk?
mm,
Any risk assessment in place? How can I improve the risk assessment? Or how can I improve uh, the people's knowledge, people's skills? How can I choose the best contractors? How can I make sure the things are run efficiently? So these are all what they think about every day, of course, for for it to be safe and everything to be carried out smoothly.
and how do they manage safety issue?
Now they have a reporting system. I think they should have a mature reporting system, whereby things uh, are spread to different head of department, and
Mm,
they will get the investigation done if it's serious. They will have to come out with reports. Um, Interdepartment will be liaising. Port division will be liaising with shipping division will be liaising with investigation division, security.
mm,
So they are all interlinked, they are all intertwined. they work together to come up with the solution.
And what sort of tools they are using? Any
Uh,
idea?
Tools, I really don't know because you have to be inside MPA
Okay.
to actually, yeah.
So we can we say that they are tech savvy?
Yeah, definitely.
Have you came across
They are not using our platform.
they are not using, right? Okay. What would entice them to use Rightshift?
As I said, they have their own system, they have their own platform. But if
Yeah.
there is something that can be offered, which they see as a need, then they will. I guess the research would be to discuss it with them.
And who would be paying for this kind of probably like whether it's additional digital
I think
adoption?
they have a budget for R&D, and R&D in MPA is very big. So they have their own in-house doing research and development. They have people constantly thinking of ideas to improve. They make use of different government platforms like schools, polytechnics, JCs, universities. They are all interlinked because it's government, right? So
Yeah.
they have different fundings here. They give certain amount to, let's say, R&D of NUS to come up with different things. So
I see.
yeah.
What sort of feature do you think they will need?
So many. Yeah. Whether they have it or not, I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, because this is just to find out, is there any opportunities,
There will be, but I guess
potentially Rightshift could.
there will be opportunity. Have to and to get a schedule with them, it's not easy.
Yeah, I would imagine.
So that's the challenge. And to convince them, because you convince them on an operational level, they still have to go. I mean, you convince them on a support basis, then you got to go to operational guys. Operational guy will have to go to management guys. Management guys will have to go to the ones above them. So it's a long process.
Okay. Well, let's move on to the very last role, which is a port authority. As an entity, what would be their role like?
Port authority, MPA.
Yeah, whether it's in Singapore context or any other ports around.
Port authority. Yeah, so they are as the name states, they are the gatekeepers of the ports. So one port might have many terminals, right? So they handle everything within the port, like the port of Singapore. Um, they are ideally usually government bodies, usually like MPA for one, MSA for different other parts of the world. So even Australia also, Australian Maritime Authority. So you have different. They are generally the gatekeepers of the area itself. Like one country might have different. Usually they have the same port authorities but in different areas. So it really depends. Like Singapore is small, right? So MPA can govern like. What if you're talking about Indonesia? It's so big, or Malaysia East and West, for example. So it's a challenge.
And who do they report to?
Usually
Since
government
they are
body.
already the highest, it would be the government, right?
Usually, yeah.
And even as an entity, what be their daily routine like?
They take charge of the navigation safety, anything within the ports, any crisis that is coming or can be foreseeable, for example, um, storms, rise and fall in water level,
Mm.
um, piracy, anything that can can cause a disruption to the port security. So they take care of different facade of the port.
And and what would be their main priorities?
Keep the port safe to make sure international shipping does not harm their port or the other way around. International requirements, regulations are being adhered to. Uh, no blockage in the waterways. Navigational aids, lights, shapes, and everything are kept working so that pilots have ease of navigation, and shipping community also have ease of navigation, ease when they come into the port and terminals
Mm.
within the port itself. Um, no disruptions. Basically, that would be their focus. But more
Mm.
so to take care of the port itself, lah. Port master. I mean, what do you call that? Port
For
authority. Yeah,
authority.
it's a
Mm.
it's a body. It's not an individual.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, it's a body. So
Mm.
usually there are different departments within the uh, port authority hierarchy. So everybody
Mm.
has like a different role to play collectively. They take care of the port.
And what sort of improvement, you know, they they may be looking out for as a port authority?
Maybe a one stop center where they can get everything. They can see everything, every information.
Every information between port to port?
Between vessel coming in, vessel going out,
Mm.
security, different international requirements, different specifics of the port, different specifics of the terminals within the port,
Mm.
uh, reporting guidelines,
Mm-hmm.
maintenance of their port facilities, weather that can influence the port.
Mm. And what would be like common challenges for uh a port authority would have?
Common challenges, security,
Mm. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's a big one.
security, blockages of the waterways.
Mm.
That means delays in other places. Supply chain disruption.
Mm.
That's the worst, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and also uh, reputation, media, right?
Mm.
So usually ports and terminals have investor backing, this and that. If your safety record, track record is not good, always in the media, you might lose this also. So
Uh,
um, reputation is very big on the agenda also. Uh, what else? Uh, to keep the port always moving, how many vessels
mm.
come in. They can always
Yeah.
show improvement. They can always show things are being done more efficiently, being more green,
Mm.
um, bunkering prices kept always low. You never
Mm.
know. So there are a lot of things like actually a lot of
Mm.
brainstorming needs to be done.
Mm. Okay. And as a entity, what would be their safety
Oh,
point
very
of
high,
view?
very high.
Mm.
Because safety is the driver for the running of the port efficiently.
Mm.
So all these guys, whether they are safety aware or not, they have to know lah. Whether they themselves are safe or not, that's a different question. But they will know what is the requirement or what task needs to be carried out to make sure that everything runs safe. Protocols, procedures, policies.
And how would they manage safety issue?
They have a system, I guess,
Mm,
manage interlink system, reporting guidelines, same thing like
mm,
any others, corrective, preventive, training. So these are like common things, improvement opportunities, what do you call that? Investing in their staff.
mm.
So these are all they do, all that they will
And
do.
mm. And who would they report safety issue to?
Like they will have somebody within all these big organizations like MP and all. They will have somebody in charge of
Yeah.
training, in charge of health, safety, environment, security.
Mm,
They will have somebody in charge or a group of people in charge, maybe two or
mm,
three people, and they will be in charge of, let's say, one person will be in charge of shipping division, one person will be in charge of security, one person will be in charge. So it really depends, and they will all have common link to a common system, common
mm,
reporting system, common reporting
mm.
guideline.
And any idea what kind of tools they are using?
Unfortunately,
Mm. So can we say they are tech savvy?
yeah. Tech savvy meaning to say that if there is something that is being done, they will have like
Mm,
us a briefing. The people will make known to them, okay, you have to click this, you have to click that. What is this button for? What is that button for? They will definitely have their own training in house. Because a lot of them are users, operators. They are not the person who develop these
mm.
programs. So yeah. But tech savvy wise, this day and age, most of them are.
And any idea if there's any port authority that are using RightShip currently?
The dry sector, think I think there is, but I'm not so sure which
There is.
terminal. There is.
Mm,
Which terminal? I think the Australian terminal have, but
mm.
as to which one, I'm not so
Okay,
sure.
no worries. So okay, at least there are
I
currently.
think so, but don't quote
Mm,
me on this. I could be wrong. There could be
mm.
separate terminals that use our platform, but port authorities, if I'm not mistaken, there is, but don't quote me on this.
Okay, can. And if they are not on RightShip, what would entice them to use RightShip for
A,
entity like this?
a one-stop center where everything is there, from
Mm.
security to vessel scheduling to pilot booking to contractor management to incident reporting to training to maintenance, everything. As long as there's one platform, I think
Mm,
every entity, and provided it's cheap, every entity to
mm.
subscribe.
And who will be paying for,
So,
all this digital adoption?
they have a budget for it. Like every big organization, like they have a budget for it. But whether that budget is willing to be spent by the person controlling the budget, that's another story. But they
Mm,
usually have a budget for all these R&D. And port authorities, like I say, they usually make use of different institutes, well-known institutes,
yeah.
institute with track record to come up with
Mm,
different R&D things for them to research and test. So they
mm.
will fund his development and research.
I see. And it would, is there any other feature that you can think of that they may need?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
As
right.
this
Yeah.
is fluid, it's not static. They have their own people to brainstorm different ideas, different
Mm.
improvements also. So yeah.
Okay. All right. I think we have come to the end of the session.
Okay.
Thanks for your knowledgeable information. It's very useful for me because I'm just like 1.5 months with Brightsheet itself.
Okay. No
Yeah,
problem.
this is fantastic for me. Can I just ask that, if we do hold any future session of research, whether is it individually or as a group, can I invite you again?
I mean, the sales team always contact me if they require any information. So no problem. If I can help, I will help.
Mm. Thanks so much.
Okay.
Thanks so much. We have come to the end of like a work day.
Okay.
Thanks for your patience to answer all these questions in the past almost 1.5 hours.
Okay. No problem. Thank you.
Thank you. May you have a good evening ahead, yeah?
Yeah. You too. Bye bye.
Thank you. See you around. Thanks. Bye.